Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the Get Grounded Challenge. So, welcome back. If you have been watching the other Get Grounded videos this week, and welcome if you are new for the first time watching day 3. You can always go back and catch up on days 1 and 2 if you missed those. So, welcome wherever you're watching from. I hope everybody is doing well today. Today is day 3 of our challenge, and our focus today is getting grounded in our breath. So if you have been joining for the last couple of days, or you are brand new watching this video for the first in the series, day 1 was all about getting grounded in our body. So paying attention to the parts of our body and the connection those parts have to the floor, to a chair, to supportive surfaces around us. We also talked about using our senses to be more grounded and focused within ourselves. So the touch, the taste, our smell, our sounds and the things that we hear, and the sight, what we can see all around us, seeing with as much detail as possible. Day 2 was all about getting grounded in our mind. So we worked on using some breath mantras to breathe and focus the mind on very specific words. So I selected specific words to guide our practice and take our mind away from some of that general chatter that we have going on just in daily life, and that chatter might be a bit amplified these days and this week. So today our practice is all about getting grounded in our breath. And we're going to do some work with the breath and some specific breath strategies, just kind of investigating the breath and being curious about how it actually feels to breathe in our body. So of course we are breathing all the time. Breathing is not something we have to think about, but it's something that we can think about, and we can choose to consciously breathe in ways that can affect our energy and some of our body systems. So it's a really useful practice for our mental and physical health. So we've talked about grounding as this concept of literally touching the ground with the parts of our body and enjoying that support and connection, as well as the idea of being focused and centered in your mind. And so both of these elements of grounding help us to relieve stress, because our mind is not thinking of other things. We are so focused on either the physical connection or what we are doing with our mind and our thoughts as we're doing a grounding practice. So today, as we work with the breath a bit, we're going to look at how the breath is related to some of our internal systems and what happens when we get stressed. So the breath is actually the key part, or a key part, of the body's stress response. And when we get stressed, there are certain kind of a chain of reactions that happen in the body that prepare us to either fight or flight. And maybe you've heard these terms before. But when our stress response gets activated, our body releases specific hormones and chemicals that get us ready to either fight a potential threat or get the heck out to keep us safe. And when those things happen in our body, this fight or flight response tends to make our breathing more shallow and rapid. And this is actually a good thing because it's allowing us to increase our oxygen supply and get ready to fight or flight. It's kind of putting us in that preparation mode where we are ready to act all of a sudden and do it quickly. So it's a good thing. But the problem is when we spend a lot of time in that fight or flight mode, our stress response becomes overactivated. And when this kind of all happened back in maybe like caveman days and we were getting ready to fight or flight like an animal or an actual physical threat to our being, once that threat was gone, we were out of fight or flight mode and we recognized that we were safe. Our brain recognized that we were safe and took us out of fight or flight. But what happens these days is we are spending so much time in that fight or flight mode that our stress response is activated a lot. And so what happens in our body is our nervous system has two parts. Our autonomic nervous system has two parts. One part is the sympathetic nervous system, and that's what controls the fight or flight response. The other part is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that one controls our rest and relax response. So these two parts of the nervous system, they can't both be activated at the same time. They're kind of like a seesaw, right? So if the fight or flight is on, then the parasympathetic is off, and that's like grounded. That's down on the ground on your seesaw. And then if you go back up the other way and your rest and relax response is on, the parasympathetic nervous system, then your fight or flight is turned off. So it's usually like one or the other, and they can stop somewhere, in the middle, just like a seesaw, but they're not both on at the same time. So if we are spending a lot of time in fight or flight, breathing comes in because this can help to take us out of that fight or flight mode. So breathing practices can lessen our stress and anxiety and bring us back into the present moment if we really are mindful and conscious about how we're breathing. So very often just normal regular breathing won't do it. And you might have even tried this, like if you're feeling stressed and you have a lot of thinking going on and you're like, okay, I know I need to breathe. But if you're breathing and still in a train of thought, it won't be as effective. So deep breathing takes practice. It might be helpful in the short term, but it's kind of like building a muscle. So like, you do some exercise and you feel a little bit better. You feel a little stronger, maybe your body feels a little bit more flexible. But every time we practice, you build on to what you did before. So deep breathing practices are kind of like training. They are training for your body and mind. And so every time you can breathe and slow down your breathing and breathe deeply from your stomach, deep belly breaths, you're signaling your nervous system to calm down, to move out of fight or flight and into the rest and digest mode. So we're going to practice a bit here. We're going to just for a moment prepare for our practice by sitting up really tall. And if you can sit in a chair, you can have both feet flat on the ground. Another option would be to sit on the floor. You might choose to cross your shins or take any kind of seat on the floor that's comfortable for you. And then try to sit up really tall. So from the sitting bones down on that surface, there's a lot of lifting upward through the torso and up and out through the top of your head. And then you can choose if you'd like to close your eyes, or you might keep your eyes slightly open and just down at one point out in front of you. I'm going to keep my eyes open as I guide our practice today, but you can choose what works for you. And then take a moment here to settle. And as we settle, we'll take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale with a big sigh right out the mouth. We'll do that 2 more times. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth. One more time, big inhale and big exhale, letting it all go. Now we'll keep our mouth closed and start to breathe in and out through the nose. Trying to make the breaths deep and full. And you can kind of tell if this is happening by placing your hands on your belly. And we'll all do that together, just placing one hand on top of the other. And as we breathe in, we want to feel the belly press forward and into the hands. And with the exhale, the belly gently pulls in. You'll feel your navel pull in toward the spine, and your hands move in toward your body. And so as we do this, we want to keep the belly pretty relaxed and soft. So there's no clenching. It doesn't matter what your belly is like. Just letting everything be soft and relaxed so that you can breathe fully. And we're trying to make the inhales and exhales about equal length. So see if you can breathe in, maybe for a count of 3. And then breathe out also for a count of 3. So we'll inhale for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 3, 2, 1. Inhaling 1, 2, 3. Exhaling 3, 2, 1. Take about 3 more rounds, counting to yourself. And then at the end of this round, we'll add on. So we're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, and pause at the top. Breathing out 3, 2, 1, pause at the bottom. So continuing like this, trying to find that slight space at the top of the inhale and the bottom of the exhale. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, pause. Breathing out 3, 2, 1, pause. Breathing in 3, 1, 2, 3, pause. Breathing out, 3, 2, 1, pause. Taking about 3 more on your own. And if you get lost or you lose the counting anywhere along the way, you can just start again at the next inhale. So there's always a new inhale to come back to and refocus. And then at the end of the next exhale, let the counting pattern go and just become a little bit more interested in the inhale. So really paying attention to how it feels to breathe in. And you might notice if a certain thought comes into your mind, or maybe a certain word comes up as you think about breathing in, inhaling. And then becoming a little bit more interested now with the exhale. And also noticing what the exhale feels like. Noticing if there's any change in your mind, any word or thought that comes to mind with the exhale. And then taking focus back to the complete breath cycle. Taking about 5 more deep belly breaths here. So if the breath has become a little bit shallow, see if you can again send the breath all the way into the belly. Hands on the belly are a great way to tell if it's working, and if not, we just keep practicing. We stay kind to ourselves and stay committed to the practice. And then if your hands were on your belly, you can release them down. And keeping your eyes as they are, just start to sense the room around you. So picturing the things that are occupying the space with you. Visualizing yourself in your room. And when the time is right to you, you can start to mindfully transition back, slowly opening up the eyes. Take any stretch movements that you need, releasing the parts of the body that want to move, and bringing yourself back. So thank you for taking the time to do this breathing practice with me. I hope that you feel a bit more present and connected to yourself. It's important to really take the time to notice how you feel at the end of your practice. And this reflection is actually part of the practice and part of yoga. Paying attention to how the things we do affect us and learning and seeing where we need to adjust and make improvements in our lives so that we can feel better and live better. So thanks for joining me for this practice. Have a great day, and I will see you again soon.